Karen and I were discussing, this is more or less her summary of her final thoughts on the position that Tobago finds itself in. It's a very unfortunate one after just kicking out the long-term party that held power for 21 years. You're now potentially regretting the choice that replaced them and left with not much alternative in sight. And this is expressed with regards to criticisms that some people have made, including myself, over how different scenarios have been handled, including most recently the THA budget presentation and the budget itself. So Karen, I don't know if you quite remember where you left off or if we wanted to move on to, well, that wider point of where do
But right, so that reality is both connected, because that's exactly what I did ask him myself. But well, and you have to know the backdrop to it was almost like self-inflicted wounds. But I think the media played a substantial part in it, and I think Watson Juve it's just so much immaturity, lack of political experience. You don't air your dirty linen in public.
Yes.
How is it going to help you? You're turning off people, and then you're giving the media a field day. So the first thing was the Rockville performing thing. I mean, why did he do that? Why did Watson Juve take that position, and then he had to come and explain that the teacher never sent them. In fact, anyway, I don't want to go and reduce that point, right? But then came after that, which I thought was very unfair, actually, and the way the media covered it was very unfair in my view. The fact that his wife got a speeding ticket. What is wrong with someone who got a speeding ticket saying, "Listen, I'm asked, is it all right if I ask my son to bring my permit so I can show that I do have a valid permit"? What's wrong with that? I don't understand what was the thing. It obviously was something between the Trinidad people and the Trinidad. It was not about. I don't think it was about Farley and his wife. What's wrong with him coming at the end of the day and producing the permit? People do that every day. What was the big deal? And trying in some way to twist it in a way that I found so unacceptable. The third point was, I think that how Farley dealt with the being caught on
the tape.
Tape. I think his delay of three weeks or more was very, 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 very. Whoever advised him was very bad advice, because it appeared, at least to me, that they sat down there around a round table to decide, well, first, can we deny it? No, we can't deny it. So how do we best handle it? So it became so contrived and so lacking in being genuine. It did not help his cause. However, what I have found very telling, and other people have said that, why are you only talking about Farley? What about what brought about that whole situation? Why are you rushing to send the police to investigate the tape? Why are you doing that? Why you don't find out what caused the whole thing? He said he was being extorted. He said there were two senior ministers in government in Trinidad who were behind it. He said that the money, that amounts of bribery and corruption, that amounts of white-collar crime. Why is the media not interested in that? It's all about the tape and Farley. Okay, he admitted he did something, and when you read it, he didn't follow through, but he looked like he was going to follow through. But why aren't you talking about the person who then decided, you're not giving me the money, according to him? If you're not giving him money, well, I'm going to release the tape. Why aren't we talking about that? Why not we talking about who it is in central government that use their power to put pressure on Farley to do something about paying this particular contractor? Why are we not talking about that? I mean, the media really has to take a lot of responsibility on that,
Yeah.
Go after Farley, yes, but go after that story, but you're ignoring that story. You're ignoring that story. So that completely turns me off. But answer, at the end of the day, what are the options available to Tobago, which is what I asked Vanas, Dr. James. I said, but you're talking how you can't support Watson. You say you cannot support Farley, because Farley, I think what most offended him was the fact that they had agreed to this model of participatory government, and that he did not follow through that, and the whole issue of the autonomy and
Well,
lawmaking powers. I think that, I
also
mean, I'm talking, go
let me
ahead.
interject here, because there were times when the chief secretary would make comments, and he would, I can't remember the exact term that he would use, but he would basically make comments that implied he was speaking about, elder technical experts or political scientists, economists, that group of people, right? And basically criticizing them for their want to have input with regards to how the direction of the teacher was going, or their want to share their opinion. And it felt as though, to some extent, it was targeted to people like Varnish James, who was a heavy supporter, who had wanted to see certain things put in place. And this was the chief secretary's public pushback of, well, all of a sudden they think they know, but we are the ones elected and we have to make the decisions. And to some extent, I could kind of understand why the chief sec said that, but you're basically criticizing the people that supported you when you were campaigning to be elected.
Well, I would now go to say it's more than that. If it's Omar Varnish James, I mean, there's no question in my mind, that the role that as an influencer, Tobago has a population of 60,000 people, and he has a brother, Winford James. There's no question in my mind that both of them are great influencers on the people of Tobago. So if you want to talk about this economist, and if what Dr. James represented to me was in fact what was agreed to, then he's being less than forthcoming, and it looks as though the power is gone to his head, which is a very, very bad thing for a young man like him. Because the reason why people chose him was not because they were afraid of Watson Duke, to be honest, but they felt that although he was young, he was mature, level-headed, and someone who they felt could hold the reins. And how he is reacting is not what Dr. James said, and I have no reason to disbelieve him. I believe that they sat down with Watson Duke, the committee, but I think he would have been a main player as to how they were going to go forward to Tobago. Mm-hmm. And a main component of whatever the support that he was able to get from the people, and the support that he gave to the PDP. The PDP was premised on two things: the autonomy, the lawmaking powers, so that they can start having their own ability, without central government having a say, and participation. Now, when he told me that, I kind of challenged him on that, because I said, you're saying that, and there are negatives about that, because what happens with that, if you go down that line, that can act as it can hold back progress, because if you have to wait for what they say, what the committee says, and what the committee says, I mean, it's not a way why you add state enterprise. So I see the negatives in that, but he is an influencer. So I said to him, okay, when you went with the 1990s and you came back to Tobago and you were pushing this effectively health tourism, and you had actually partnered with Johns Hopkins and some of the top hospitals in the United States and the top doctors to partner with Tobago, I said, did you do that type of investigation, or did you, communicate with the national community? He said, we went to every single village, from Charleville, Palotea, every single village, and we heard what they had to say. So he put in his mouth where his money is. He not talking, he talk, he walk, he walk. And if Farley Augustine continues to take that approach, he has taken on a formidable opponent. And to answer the question of, well, what are the options? Well, from what he said to me, and I suspect it's almost in the works, I don't know, I am maybe speaking out of turn. He said, well, we definitely can't go back to the PNM. That's why we did what we had to do. We can't go back to those 21 years of that.
Yeah.
He said, however, it's clear that Farley is not the right person to be the chief secretary. We have people within the administration that we feel are better placed for that. And so it's not a question of abandoning their thing. It is replacing who is the chief secretary with someone else. Now, will Farley go quietly into the night? Will Farley quietly give up the vote? It doesn't seem so, and it is shown by the nasty comments that he's making. I mean, it is so. Don't do that yourself, Farley, Augustine. You came in on a particular role that people saw that you had, and now you are taking yourself, and it seems to the onlooker, it may not be so, but it seems the onlooker like power's gone to your head, and you know what happens to a lot of politicians.
Yes.
Having been there in that thing, what they tend to do is they tend to surround themselves with the yes men. So they block out because he has not met with them, apparently. He said he has not met with them. That's Farley. What they do is surround themselves with the yes men who reinforce or who really say, don't worry with them. We have it going. We know what we're doing. And for him to go into the public domain and to be making those kind of statements when that same Vanessa James and Winfred James and all these intellectuals and influencers in your country and coming out and behaving in the manner you behaving, I'm not going to be surprised. A day in politics is a lifetime. So he better watch what he says, and he better watch his public utterances. And sometimes it's better to allow others to say and to take the high ground and say, well, that's an opinion that he may have. We don't share it, but he's entitled to his opinion. Deal with it that way. But you're going on talking about these old economists and what they say. Yeah, well, them old economists have you where you are. Okay? Just remember that.
Well, we have to take a break for news on the hour, but I would just like to point out one more argument for Dr. Vanessa James is that look at what he is complaining about the promises. Dr. James was not made any financial promises or any sort of personal remuneration or reward promises. Dr. James is complaining about, look, we were promised certain actions for either the government of Tobago or how the public would be able to have their voices heard within the government of Tobago. None of that has anything to do with Dr. Vanessa James personally profiting. And with regards to the Chief Secretary, yes, it is interesting to me how a career that was so promising and so filled with hope that it could have been a change with regards to the landscape of national politics has now potentially ended up being a disappointment. I'm not writing him off just yet, but
he's going down that road, you know.
He's going down that, yes, you are correct.
And you know something I will just say is very quickly shown. He's going on that road, and to me, you know the emperor with no clothes on?
Yes,
I really think that he doesn't understand impact of what he's saying, you know. But the public are judging. Public are judging. He better calm down his language, his how he expresses himself, and go about it in the way that people feel the maturity, which he's not mature in handling political pressure.
And just to be fair, yes, I know there's a story that's involving the Prime Minister. He should tone down his language as well. Yeah. That's something that we've been saying from the start of the show. There are a lot of politicians who need to tone down their language or get out.